Okay. And we're on. Okay, so first off, a lot we talk about it all the time. A lot has happened because it is not a hour, a day, a week that doesn't go by in our world, in our country, in athletics that is not being ostracized or for lack of a better word, being blown up. Um, and tragedies have hit us in such a way that I think um, it is forcing us to really evaluate how transactional athletics has become and how the coach's role, whether we really want to wrap our mind around it or not, the coach's role is no longer about empowering the athlete, unfortunately, because of what's on the line. His livelihood is on the line in the next 2 years if he doesn't get it right. And so, how do you mature? How do you mentor? How do you lead people with the idea? I'm leading you not for now, I'm leading you for where you're going to be when you graduated. And if I do a really great job, you'll be a better person, but I might get fired. That's the world of athletics. That's what we live in. That's what it is. That's my cousin used to say, it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't. This ain't 1980 nor 1990 where your coach is going to be there for 10 years and you'll be able to look back at all of the lessons that he was able to teach you with the hard losses that you may have endured or the victories. So, yeah, this has not been an easy week. And so those who follow me on social and if you have not had a chance to check it out, please go check out the interview that I had with a former teammate and coach, Andre Mixon, who played JUCO ball with me, went on to play at Temple University, um, and he survived gun violence within the football team. In so many ways, it feels like that interview, though it was very nostalgic, it put me in my DeLorean and I went back in the time machine. I remember getting to Vermilion, Minnesota, actually Ely, Minnesota, Vermilion Community College, um, after getting kicked out of Tiffin University. And so I was already trying to um, reconcile some of the errors that I've had of my own as I go to Ely, Minnesota and try to figure it out academically, figure it out athletically and socially. Um, and so as we were talking, I had to follow this up for a little bit of closure for me. And maybe context for some other people who may have watched the interview. Um, what Dre did not mention is you know, that gun, he Dre was not shot by the gun, right? But Dre was right next to the guy who got shot. He didn't even go into great detail um, of how difficult it was to manage those flashbacks. You know, I can't imagine getting into a squabble, a beef, scrap, disagreement. And not even a minute later, you hear a gun go off and you're not sure, like the reality of what's happening in that moment. It is almost like a lag, is a delay on it. Because before you can realize you got shot, you just heard a loud pop. And so, why am I bringing this back up? Because, like, that affected our entire football club. I was the new member of the football club. And to see the residuals on how, look, we still had disagreements, but we knew where the line was. And we knew that line, though it used to be invisible, it used to be an imaginary line, it was no longer imaginary. Like, we could not say we didn't know anymore because a young man got shot in the quad, in the living room of his quad. And Dre was right there, and a lot of other football players were right there. And so I'm rehashing it or recapping it or debriefing on it because the man who made that actually doable, the man who made that absorbable, like made it like the man who made it for those athletes to be able to get over that was the head football coach. And so, man, I'm on this to encourage coaches to remind you, man, like your role as a football coach is far greater than the wins and losses. I know right now pop culture has put a emphasis on athletics, a camera on athletics, which all came with a dollar amount with athletics. That I think at times we forget there are people playing these games, and people are going through things along with the game. So the game, though, may be my identity. Like I identify as a football player, I identify as an athlete. But outside of this athletic arena, I'm a person that is having to deal with real people issues. I'm a person who is going through a breakup. I'm a person who is going through depression. I'm a person who is injured and may never play again. And now I'm trying to wrap my mind around what does this mean for my identity? Yes, Coach Keith Turner. I think Coach Turner is still coaching. I hope he is still coaching. He was, I think we took Coach Turner for granted at times because we're in Ely, Minnesota. We're a 60-40 split in terms of ethnic backdrop on the team. Most of the white kids who are on the team are from Minnesota, Wisconsin. All of the black kids that are on the team are from uh, Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, Miami. Like we're all from inner cities. Um, and so for me, like race wasn't a issue because someone got shot. So we didn't have time to deal with the race part because we had to deal with the humanity part. I'm not getting on the high horse to talk about race. That's not what I'm doing. Giving you context for this was not an all black team. This was not like an all white team. This was a pretty 50-50 split team in a traditionally white state, um, with a head football coach who was of color. And so because of that, I've watched a man first, who happened to be of color lead a variety of different people from different backgrounds, with different religion, with different creed, different classes. I watch he heal a football team. I watch he love on a. I watch him heal a football team. I watched him love on a football team in the midst of going through a violent and horrific event on campus. The UVA coaches are trying to do the same thing. And the reason I say trying, because the game of football for UVA, they have to recruit. And they have to go out on the road recruiting, answering these type of questions of, is my son going to be safe at that campus? What kind of answers you think they have to prepare for? What type of questions you think they have to prepare for every day? And so as this coaching staff is out on the road trying to repair the image and the soliciting of recruits that is required for this program to survive, they have to do it in the midst of trauma back at school and with the trauma being on the table in every household that they go to. That's a football coach. That's the football coach. That's the football coach that we're so quick to get rid of because he didn't win 7 games every year. That's the football coach that you might not have understood. He had to go and heal his team and the recruiting process. You might not have known that. But don't worry, you're going to replace that football coach in 2 to 3 years and tell the other guy, hey, there was no culture here. There was no juice here. There, that's what you're going to tell him. That's what you're going to tell him. And so I'm only on this high horse. I'm only a little agitated because there are young men who need coaches to help them through some challenging times. I think loyalty, that's not on the table because it doesn't matter. Who you're loyal to should matter. Championships, that shouldn't really be on the table because championships don't heal people. People heal people. And so when you make decisions for your program that you say is for your kids that's in the program, it's my hopes, it's my prayers that you make the decisions with the idea that coach is doing the right thing for his kids and the kids that he's recruiting and the families that he's speaking to. What are you doing to help coach to get to all of what he has to get to? What are you providing the team to help them get over this trauma? Or are you just being like, shake it off, put some dirt on it, son? Is that the deal? Is that the way that we're handling athletes when they're hurting? Is that the way we're dealing with athletes when they have some personal issues going on, but we have a big game? We just say, hey, get through it. Is that how you deal with your son? That's how you deal with your nephew, your daughters. But that's how you go deal with the people that you put in charge of your nephew, daughters, and sons. The culture has to change. Am I telling you I can change it? Maybe, maybe not. I can tell you I've been in it long enough to see 3 young men at UVA get gunned down by a former football player. I'm not here to speculate, but I know those coaches that's on that staff, that entire administration, that entire athletic department is hurting. It's hurting. And I'm not telling you all things are equal. And I'm not telling you there's a one answer fit all for this problem. But what I am telling you, put some resources behind the players, behind the coaches, behind everything that's involved with players because it can no longer be transactional. This is what it looks like when athletics is just transactional. We are losing people to firings, to gun violence, to drugs, to suicide, to depression, to anxiety, you name it. I cannot continue to play and coach and be a part of what my heart says is the answer, but on an answer on top of a humongous problem. And remember, the problem has nothing to do with race, creed, religion, or class. It has everything to do with the process in which we deal with people. How you deal with your athletes this offseason will matter. If you have athletes that you are responsible for in the leadership of, start asking them how they're doing. Start asking them how's the relationship with their dad. Start asking them how's everything with their brothers and siblings. Relationships. Ask them about their relationships. I will admit, I've always been curious about their relationships, but I have not always had the tactfulness to discuss the relationship in which the player felt that I wasn't trying to pry. In time, I've gotten better at it. Over time, I've gotten better at it. Seeing players hurt has made me want to get better at it. Like you want to get better at the schematics because you got smoked. Get better at loving on your players because they're hurting. Trainers get better at loving and healing the players that are hurting outside of the ice and sim. Talk to them. I don't know why every every individual team really. If I had my druthers, every individual team would have a sports psychologist or therapist, like on deck. Not the department, the team. That's your role, coach. You call him coach. You call her coach. Is no doctor. Hey, coach, I need to talk to you. I watch Billions. Axelrod has a therapist so his people can do what they need to do to make money. Hmm. That's that's where importance lies in the money for him. The importance lies in the money. So for his people to make as much money as possible and to do some scrupulous things. Did I say that word right? I don't know. Whatever. He has a therapist 24 hours on call to hash out some of the huge, minute, whatever issues they have is their issues. It's confidential, and she is there for them. Why? Why does not an NFL? I assume. Look, I haven't been in the NFL, so I can't really speak. I haven't been in the NFL in 10 plus years. At the time, the Lions did not have a psychologist, a sports psychologist in the building or on the staff. I would hope today that they have found a way to make that a part of the deal because of all of the pressures that they're dealing with athletically. Please believe they're dealing with those same pressures off the field. I'm just telling you. You could call it what you want. I'm going to call it support. Support your people. Support your athletes. Don't be that person. Don't be that guy. Don't be in a situation where you know your athletes need you. You know what your athletes need, but you can't get it to them. Don't be that person. I'm just saying. Don't be that person because it may not be the coach, it may not be the administrator, it may not be the GM, it may not be the scout. It's somebody. Somebody has to stop the bleeding on this. That's the bottom line. And so, my heart, my prayers, I pray for these three young men and their families. I pray for the shooter because the shooter is hurting even more. I've read some more details on it. I just, man, that's the only reason I came on today. I only want to talk about who can win because all the winning in the world will not, will not hide this hurt. It just won't. UVA not playing this week. It's senior week for them. And so in this senior week, I salute all those seniors who made the decision to not play, but to mourn. And so as you mourn, I'm mourning with you, man. I'm mourning with you. And coaches, I can only imagine how difficult the job has become today when you're facing that type of adversity. And so I pray that you're able to open your heart, mind, ears, and mouth to comfort the families and the players that need to be comforted after this horrific event. And so, with that, I leave you with that. I wish everyone well. Um, And yeah, if you can't find out what to do, I'm sure you can find somebody who knows what to do. Because like everybody has to do something. We all have to do something, or this will not get better. It just won't. Like Coach Hall having a idea or any being jumping on live or doing these videos is me doing my part. But it cannot just be me. I'm just I'm just a person that is trying to influence more people to think about more people. That's it. Coach the person, not the product. Pray for the healing of the teams that go through some trauma. Pray for the healing the teams that go through trauma and they can't get away from it because it's on the media everywhere. And pray for the coaches who have to guide and lead those athletes through that trauma because that's not easy either. I love I love athletics. I love football. And my love for it is where my passion resides. But my love and my passion is for people. And so until next time, I hope you stay well, be safe, and love on someone. Peace.